Hey everybody, Daniel here from Casual Dude Reviews, and I did want to just take a moment here to do a quick video on how to wind the Omega Speedmaster Professional. This is a manual wind watch, and I know it doesn't sound that complicated, and really it's not, but I wanted to give some tips on how I typically wind it, and some of the reasons that I decide to wind it the way that I do. This is a current Sapphire sandwich model. As most of you who've been watching my channel know, I do love the Omega Speedmaster. I do have 4 in my collection. And so I wanted to take a moment here on the 3861 to let you know how I wind it. Now, obviously your mileage may vary. You may have different methods and tips. If you do, drop them in the comments. Hopefully this can be a resource for people who are just picking up this watch or looking to optimize the way they wind it. But I had an issue where it was winding down a little bit quicker than I had wanted it to. I was winding it the amount of times that I needed to based on the recommendations from Omega and some of the other fans. And I realized that I just wasn't getting the most out of my watch, and I found myself winding it too frequently. Now, according to the manual, you should be winding it until you feel some resistance, right? And so with the newer models, again, I want to make it very clear that this is with the newer models. It's very difficult to overwind these. So when you feel a little bit resistance, you want to stop. You definitely don't want to overwind, but there are protections in here that make sure you can't overwind it accidentally. Also, what I was doing to make sure that I was able to keep it, going throughout the day was winding it at different times of the day to make sure that it had close to a full wind. And honestly, it just becomes inefficient. It almost feels like a chore. And so I did change my method a little bit. I wind it every morning when I'm about to put it on. And so that's another recommendation is, first of all, you want to try to wind the watch at the same time every day when you wear it. That way it just has consistency throughout the day. And then also you want to let it wind down. You don't want to wind it throughout the day either. So obviously the closer you get to an unwound watch, the less accurate the time will be. So you do want to do this on about every 24-hour basis, or at least close to it. I'm not always doing it at the same time every day, but I am doing it once a day around the same time, which has been more than sufficient. And so one of the reasons it was winding down was purely because I wasn't winding it enough, and I realized that it took a long time to wind it. And so I was doing these little quarter turns here, which, most people are probably doing. Right now it's really loose because we're starting from nothing. It's been completely wound down. Say I wound it a few times, the second hand is not even moving there. And so what I was doing this, 30, 40 times, and I still wasn't getting to the resistance point. And so what I started doing is taking off the watch or picking it up from, my desk. And rather than winding it like this, I would just roll my finger. And so this is a lot quicker. Instead of doing these little quarter turns, you're getting full turns now. You can see the second hand moving there. And this will hit resistance a lot quicker. So if you just continue to wind it there, it's still very loose again, starting from nothing. And it's getting a little bit tighter. I'm not going to go all the way here, but I'll show you. You can definitely feel when there's resistance. And, there we go. It's starting to get a little tighter now. Still hasn't stopped. A little tighter, and this should be enough. And so you want to make sure you're giving it those full turns. And also, this method allows you to do full turns a little bit easier than just, again, the little quarter turns when you do it with your fingers there. You can see the difference, quarter turn versus like a full turn. And so again, nothing groundbreaking here, but for some people who are a little bit newer to the Speedmaster or are used to automatic watches, again, this was my first manual wind, my first modern manual wind. I wanted to do something that was going to last me all day. And so what we just did there should last me a good chunk of time. You can see that beautiful movement there, doing its thing. And this should hold me off for 24 hours. Now, the Omega Speedmaster will last longer than 24 hours. It should last about a day and a half on a full wind. But again, try to do it around the same time every day. So 24 hours is accurate. When you pick up the watch, just give it a few turns. Again, if you feel resistance, you're in a good spot. And, when it starts to tighten up a little bit, you're in a good spot. And you can feel when it's loose. Like now when I wind it, I can tell it's just, it's too loose to be adequately wound. And so at that time, when the watch is winding down and it's close to, zeroing out, you're really not going to get a lot of resistance on that spin, and you might actually lose some time on the day, or, you might see some fluctuations in seconds per day. So I hope this helped. This is a method that helped me. I was almost at the point where I said, let me go take my buddy at Omega who runs the service over there. let them look at it, see if it was, something that I'm doing wrong or if something is wrong with the watch. And before I did that, I said, you know what, let me just kind of play around with it, look what other people were doing. And this is the method that I found worked the best. So we're gonna go ahead and put the NATO strap back on here. Again, if you're looking to put a NATO strap on here, I have my other watches either have a nylon strap or they have stainless steel bracelet or even the moonshine gold bracelet. So I do keep this one on a NATO. It's nice to be able to change things up a little bit. So we're just gonna loop it back here. And we're gonna tighten this up and she's ready to go. So nicely wound. I do have to set the time. I do like to wind it before I set the time because it's just, if you set the time and then wind it, the clock might change by the time it's wound and ready to go. So I like to have it wound a little bit, and then what I will do is pull out the crown, set it to the time that it's about to hit, and as soon as the clock rolls over, I press it back in, and that gives me the most accurate time. I do not keep this accurate to the second or anything like that. As long as it's close enough, I'm good to go. But this method has just made it a lot easier to keep that power reserve going. It's made it easier to wind, and because of that, I wear the watch a lot more. I rarely pick it up and have it wind down and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to wear another watch today. So that's my method on winding the Omega Speedmaster or any modern manual wind watches, but the Speedmaster is the most common manually wound watch. So I hope this helps some of you that are, seeing your power reserve kind of deplete a little bit quicker than you had hoped. Or if you had just bought an Omega Speedmaster, hopefully this works as a nice little tutorial for you. As always, I thank you for watching. If you like the Speedmaster and you want to see the rest of my collection, please check out my other videos. Like this one because it helps boost, the performance of it, and then subscribe. I'm not doing this to monetize or anything like this, but I like to share my hobbies with the rest of you. And I hope that liking and subscribing can help share it with more people. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this video. I hope you're enjoying your Omega Speedmaster. And yeah, let us know in the comments if you have a way of doing this. Again, this is just my way, but it works for me and hopefully it works for you as well. Thank you.